Remember when I said there were might be some glitches?
All right, can everybody see me?
Now we can.
All right. Well, my name's Russ Mason. I am the product management woodworking specialist for Powermatic and Jet. So what that means is I get to talk and play with tools all day. Not too bad of a gig. I've been with the company for, this is, I think, going on 15 years now. And, you know, I wear the t-shirt too. If I don't have it, I think I need it. Wayne and I have been talking for years now about new tools and old tools. So what I hope to do is just kind of introduce some new tools that we're pretty excited about. I'm not really trying to give you a big sales pitch. I'm more of the technical guy. But what I'd like to do is talk, I've got 4 or 5 of them, and then afterwards just open it up for a Q&A. And we're here in our training center in Smyrna, Tennessee, and we've got several machines set up that we can, if I've got it here, we can scroll over there and talk about it and help you out if we can. But if you would, just save the questions till after the 4 machines, and then you can just type them in there, and then Wayne will ask them. That way I can hear them. So the first machine we've just introduced is a wet sharpener. It's just a 10-inch wet sharpener. It's got a stone wheel that turns real slow. It's got a trough here for you put distilled water in it, and it's got a leather strop. And there's all kinds of accessories that you can get. But what you see here is what's going to come with. If you notice, I didn't put the drawer in it. I did this intentional because when I did tech service, and I did tech service for about 7 or 9 years, one of the biggest questions we had on the older one we had was, this thing won't run. If you look at this, for shipping purposes, pull that out. You can put your drawer in there. The reason I did that is that if you buy one, little tips like that will actually help out. But we're pretty excited about this. Basically, any kind of sharpening you need to do, from lathe chisels to kitchen knives to an axe to pretty much anything that needs to be sharpened can be sharpened on this machine. The nice thing is the water does cool the wheel, so it doesn't change the hardness of your metal. It's going to come with an angle gauge, another gauge on here to actually tell what angle your knife is going to be on, a conditioning stone, and that's not really a sharpening stone. What that's going to do, it's actually going to load the wheel up, and I think it's like to make it like a 600 grit consistency or characteristics of like a 2000 grit. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on the grit. So what you want to do is you always want to use distilled water. I've tried, you know, regular tap water, and you'd be surprised what it can do to the wheel and the shaft and everything. On the leather strop, it's going to come with some metal polish. You want to, once you kind of get it into the leather strop, it doesn't take very much after that, but that leather strop will actually kind of polish that edge. And it's going to come with one of the straight edge jigs. As you notice, it's pretty versatile. You can put it different ways, change it over. There's all kinds of different jigs. You can get another arm, but it pretty much anything you want to do, you buy the machine and then basically figure out the different jigs you need. And there's probably, I don't know, 30 or so different jigs that you go off in whatever direction you need it to go. There is a rotational base that you can get that mounts under this, where you can spin it around, which is pretty nice if you do mount it to your table. It's not super heavy, but the rotational base is pretty nice. And there is a speed control knob on the back where it's a variable speed. As your wheel gets down to a smaller diameter, you want that service feet per minute to go a little faster, so you want to speed it up. Moving right along, the next machine this is a technical difficulty.
No, you're good. You're in screen now.
So, can everybody see me now?
Russ, why don't you walk over to the other side of the machine and you'll be in good.
All right. How
There
about
you
now?
go. Now you're good.
All right. So this is the machine that's pretty exciting to me. It's not one that I want myself, simply because I'm into the bigger machines and the bigger's better. But what I didn't realize is there's a lot of people that bigger's not always better. There's a lot of guys that are strictly limited to 115 volt. And they also want to be able to pick it up and put it under the cabinet or on the shelf or whatever to get it out of the way. I guess my previous boss kind of taught me a little bit about you don't always sell what you want to sell them what they need. And this is one of the machines that was probably asked for more than any other machine before we came out with it. The thing about this is just our motto, we want to build a better bench tool. Because we did realize through a bunch of studies that the bench line, we're kind of leaving it behind, where there's a lot of people there that actually could use a nice bench machine and they want a little bit better grade than what's out there. So this 6-inch joiner actually does have a helical head. There's 2 rows of 7 inserts. They cast iron tables and a cast iron fence. And this thing actually has a blower, and it actually comes with a dust bag. I've lost it since we've been playing with it in here. And I didn't think about it the other day, so I apologize for not showing you. But it can actually stand alone. It doesn't have to have dust collection with it because it does have a blower. The fence does tilt. Fence tilts pretty easy. The knobs are real solid, and the fence actually moves in and out just exactly like your larger joiners. And if you notice, there's some hold downs that actually clip down here for if you did want to mount it to your table, which is a very smart thing to do if that's possible. But these little hold downs, you just bolt them to your table and it locks it down. There's 4 of them. There's 4 little slots inside the machine. But a really nice machine, a true helical head, and cast iron tables and cast iron fence, and still 115 volts. So that's pretty good little setup. The next machine we have, it's not really a machine, but it's a complement to your machine. And this is the one that really got me excited. And what it is you just hook it basically between your machine and your dust collector. And as you pull the chips through, it'll actually swirl around, air goes out, and the chips fall down in the canister. Now it can come with this 30-gallon canister, or you can buy just this it's a bullet. It's a cyclonic separator. It's a bullet. And you can buy just this and put it on top of your Rubbermaid trash can. And when we were doing the video of it is really when it got my excitement up, is because we would just actually throw the hose down into a bin of chips and nothing went past it. And if you look on the video on our website, you can actually see the dust collector there. We've been running it all day long, and very, very little chips inside the dust collector. And truthfully, the ones that were in there came because this thing got full. And once it gets full, of course, they got to go somewhere, so they're going to go on past it. But maybe a small handful of chips is all that got past it. But it does have wheels on it. It has a window, a little sight glass window that's really, really neat to see if you actually use it. It's got a clip. So you can pull this off, leave it in your line, roll this out and go dump it. And if you notice, you look in here, I don't know if you could actually see it, but it actually takes the air and spins it around. And when the chips hit this bullet, it's spinning around already, and then it kind of kicks the chips out. So what you get is the air is kind of still going through it. It does kind of move a little bit, but it's not doing like the old one. We used to have an old one, and I really liked it. But it would actually send the air down into the tank, spin around in the tank, and then go back out. Well, think about when you're on a highway, you want to merge just nice and easy. get your speed up and then merge in. This is the same way. You don't have the clover leaf where you got to go down, come back out, and go out. So you keep your speed up, so you're really going to lose very, very little CFM this way. And it's just a really nice, nice deal. It keeps your filters cleaner. But, you know, my mind goes on and on where you run this outside to a bigger container, you don't lose any of your shop air. So you're putting air outside through here and then back inside. So you're not having to really filter the air. You have your dust collector inside and drop your chips outside where you can put it on a trailer or something. You know, nobody likes emptying big bins of chips, but at the same time, the small bin actually fills up faster. So you're kind of at a catch-22, or you can just let it go around everywhere. Nobody wants that either, because then somebody's got to clean it up. So really nice addition to the machines that we have at home. Moving right along.
So folks, I'll remind you as we transition, if you have any questions on any of these things, feel free to type it into the chat window. If you're unfamiliar with this, at the bottom of your screen, I'm sorry, if you're on a desktop, at the bottom of your screen will be a button that says chat, and that will open up a window called chat on the right-hand side where you can send anything. A couple of folks have already sent a couple of questions, Russ, but those were easy enough for even me to answer. So
okay.
Continue along, please.
And a lot of times, if you think somebody else, if you already know the answer, ask it anyway, because somebody else is probably thinking about it.
Well,
what I ran into.
Absolutely.
And the next machine, the big boy here that we want to talk about, and actually this machine hadn't launched. It's going to launch the end of this month, but we got a little bit special permission because everybody likes Wayne, so we're going to kind of tease it out a little bit, and I got the permission to talk about it. This is a new Powermatic drill press. As you can see, this is our old PM2800B. We're still going to have this in the line. It's still a great selling machine, great machine. I think it's like $400 more. Don't quote me on price. Talk to Wayne about it. This is the Cadillac here. So roughly the same size. Might be a little bit more narrow so you can actually push it closer to the wall. But what this is a gear drive drill press. Powermatic gear driven drill press. So you actually have a high and a low. The machining is phenomenal. Still have your safety on. If the light's not on, nothing works. Pull it on, you energize the machine. You got lasers. You got very, very bright lights. There's two of them. So you have no shadow. And can you see pretty good with the light on or light off, or too bright?
Oh, we can see it.
Okay. So to turn it on, you have on and off buttons. Simply move the speed of the potentiometer. Then you have a gearbox, put it in high. Up to 3,650 RPMs. But the thing about this thing is the power. It's like a 3-to-1 gearbox in the power drive there. Phenomenal in power. We actually do market this, or will be marketing it to be a multi-material. So wood, aluminum, steel, pretty much anything you want to drill. You're not going to hurt it. It's got plenty of power. All of our testing pretty much blows every single other machine in its class out of the water. But the nice thing about this machine is there's several things. The way to adjust the lasers here, and I can't really turn it too much because when you put this machine together, this is going to be one of those machines that when you buy it, you hate it because it's heavy. It took 3 of us to put this head on, and I didn't even want to put that in the book that 3 people can do it. The best thing to do is get you a lift of some sort and lift the head up. Super, super heavy machine. I think it's like 400 pounds.
It's close to 500.
Close to 500 pounds. But that's what you want once you get it in your shop. So it's got plenty of power, very heavy, easy to change the speed. The lasers have you just have 2 screws in there. One will actually move the laser and one will actually it'll do 2 different angles, but it's very easy to adjust the lasers. You're still going to get 6 inches of stroke, which is just like our old one, which is plenty. The handles are a little bit more solid than the old one, but that's when you start drilling through steel, unreal. So the depth stop, whenever you move this thing, let's see, you're going to lock it where it won't go back up, spin it down, lock it. Now it's got a pretty good stop going down. This new style depth stop's a little bit different to get used to. It really came from the metalworking machinery world. Even though you have to kind of stop and think about it every time you use it, unless you use it all the time, it actually works much better because it's stopping right on the pinion gear, rather than having an arm that comes out over here, just like this. So when I stop this one, stop it that way. But there's a lot of things hanging out over there that don't really need to. If you did want to put a mortising attachment on here, it's nice and simple, clean, or whatever you're drilling in. We just really like this new style of doing this better. It costs a little bit more, but I think it's well worth it. The machine will actually come, if you'll notice, it's the same height as the old one, virtually the same size. The base is a little bit bigger because whenever we test them to like push it over, I don't know, 7 or 10 degrees, it's got to be able to stand up on its own. So with this extra weight, the base had to be a little bit bigger. If you'll notice, it still has a table insert that's just a piece of wood. It has leveling screws, and then it has screws to actually screw it down. Still has a nice little fence, just like the old one. This is where it gets a little tricky, or a little more interesting.
Not tricky. This is where it gets cool.
Cool. That's even better. So if you notice, it's a nice. Of course, I've got fingerprints. This has been passed around. I don't know how many places I've taken it and let people play with it. Never had a bad review on it. Anybody who we let use it has been blown away. And essentially, this is the machine, the first one that's going to get abused. And for the most part, it still looks brand new. Look at that. You take a nice cast iron table out. And then we have accessories. So with the accessories, Tobias is a slight genius on trying to fit stuff together and make things more versatile. It's nice in there. Just a dust port. Simple as all get out. Who would have thought about it? It fits in there nice. And then you've got pins here, tabs here where you put bolts up to it, so you have leveling screws. You can kind of see them here, but there's leveling screws underneath the table. I'm not going to bolt it in, but you can actually see now I've got true dust collection on a drill press. So if I want to put a sanding head on there, lock this down, do my sanding and do whatever, it's going to stay nice and clean. And it's solid. Like everything about it's solid. Also, if you just wanted to drill with this, essentially it's metal. You could drill with it if you needed a bigger hole than this. But you could just use that as a table. But wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more. Folks, I first saw this drill press about a few months ago, and you might see that over my shoulder is an old Delta drill press that I've had for, I don't know, 20 years. It's hard to get somebody excited about a drill press. Let's face it, it drills a straight hole. That's what a drill press does. I know I own, a Woodcraft store, so you got to take my opinions with a grain of salt here, but I'm excited about a drill press. This thing is a beast, man, and I mean that. It's it is old school Powermatic in its weight and just beefiness, but at the same time, you can change the speed with just the turn of a knob. It's got new school tech in it at the same time. And Russ is showing you all these new features that it's got, like a downdraft table where I can actually have some dust collection in it. I'm just super excited about it for what it's worth. All right, Russ, I'll stop taking your time.
No, that's great. Thanks. And yeah, like you saw, this is the old school Powermatic blended with new technology, and that's what's neat. You know, we don't want to make you buy a new machine. We want to give you a reason to. And you know, if we can couch you out that way, where you just feel like you have to get that new one, that's great. They hold their value very well. So, but here's another versatile table. If you have a CNC machine, you can make your own, or we have it packaged where you can just buy it like this. There's essentially no limit to what you can do with this table. I wasn't real wild about the MDF style table at first, but as we started using it and just kind of doing different things with it, you know, once you set this thing up, it's so versatile. You can drill the same hole over and over, kind of a mid-range production machine. But we've kind of partnered with Micro Jig, where the dovetails, you get your little clamps, and the dovetails are actually pretty stout. I've not broken one yet. I've not broken the table yet. But everything moves a little bit. The fence moves. However you want to do it, you can see the versatility. I'm going to go and take this back off to show you one more thing. If you were going to use a production machine, you could actually make your own jig, put your piece down here, slide it up to the top, however you wanted to do it. Very versatile. With this big table here, big hole in the table, you can do quite a bit. You can slide it up through the bottom. You can also tilt the table both ways. It doesn't tilt forward, but it does tilt this way or this way. And, you know, make another clamp to do it. But having the T-slots in the table and the big opening, it's just very versatile. I think that's about all the bells and whistles. But I do want to show you a little bit. Can you see that side profile pretty good? You just notice it just has a nice design to it. We're very proud of it. You can also put the handles on both sides or mix the handle up however you want it to, just like the old one. And it does come with a keyed chuck. There are two things. Sorry about that, guys. You can get a little table with it, which I thought was pretty slick, and a little magnet side that actually clamps. It'll bolt here, and then we usually bolt this on the other side, but it'll bolt there too. It's just a magnet where you can hold your drill bits. So with some neat little accessories where it's not going to come with everything because the same guy might not like one or the other. So we want to try to give you a little bit of a choice. We almost dropped it once, so it moves around fairly okay. Are there any questions about any of the four machines I've talked about?
Well, Russ, the question just came up of what is the warranty on the Powermatic products?
So Powermatic has 5-year warranty. If you use it for commercial use, it's 2 years. Schools are 5. The Jet benchtop is 3 years, but the normal Jet is a 5-year, just as a Powermatic. It's a 5 and 2.
So for most of our customers who are at home, just kind of the standard woodworkers who are hobbyists, et cetera, 5 years is the answer for almost all those folks.
Pretty much. And I mean, if you're at home making bowls, trying to go to the art show, essentially that's a business, but that's just a hobby to make a little bit of money back. You're not really making any money by the time you buy everything. So I would consider that 5 years. If you have a name over your store and it's right beside Woodcraft, then you got a 2-year warranty. that warranty backs up a lot. You know, we don't really tout it out very much, but, you know, we've got, I don't know how many guys in tech now, guys and gals in tech that, you know, when you call them, you're going to speak to somebody that speaks English, and they'll have a Southern accent like me, and you ought to get to like that because I've enjoyed it. But you know, if you have trouble, I've seen it where we just shut everything down and we literally talk about one guy, and we come up with a solution. If I can't come up with it on my own, you know, I'll get Bobby or Steve or, you know, whoever, and we'll come up with a solution. A lot of times it's just something simple, like we just need a part. If you're in a bind, just level with the guy, and he'll get it to you the next day if you really need it. If you don't need it, you know, there's no sense in wasting the money. But if you know, if you had, say you bought this drill press here and you had trouble with it and you couldn't figure something out or didn't want to mess with it yourself, you know, they can send somebody out. So it's a very good service that most people don't need, but if you do need it, it's nice to have, and it's something that comes with every one of the machines. And one of the things I've seen is, you know, some people that did have trouble starting out, you know, might have been a little rough for them. They weren't sure if we were going to back them up, but we did. And I've been talking to them for 14 or 15 years now, and they're not going to buy anything else but ours. And I appreciate that.
So, you know, Russ, I missed the last trip out to see you guys. And I think I've told you that I think that the 3520C is the sexiest tool I've literally ever seen in my life. But there is a little tool right over your shoulder that I didn't get to play with. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I can tell you a lot about it. So, and we can arrange a shipment to come out there to you where you can play with it. This is the 3520C, pretty much the Cadillac of blades. This is the 2014, and the 2014 is in a class of its own. The thing that makes it unique, and I use my dad all the time. Dad's got the big one, but he also goes out to, you know, the welcome center and turns, and he's addicted to it. But he wants something small. But, you know, Jet's a great machine. The 1221 is a great machine, but it's not the Powermatic. You know, the Powermatic has that just essence of fine craftsmanship. If you look at this box on the side, now we put wheels on this. It makes it a little easier to move, very easy to move. But here's what makes this machine really unique. And it's unique in a way it's small, but it's powerful just like the big machine. You still have a 3-phase motor, and you have a variable frequency drive or an inverter, VFD. So what this does is it takes single-phase power, converts it to run a 3-phase motor. Totally different design. It's kind of like a gas engine and diesel engine. The Jet works fine. You know, that circuitry to run that single-phase motor, it has some checks and balances where it has sensors on the spindle and sensors on the motor. You put your chisel to it, it wants to slow down. Well, this inverter does it in conjunction with the motor on its own. Pretty much everybody I've talked to that bought one of these said they'd known how much power it had. They'd have bought it before they bought their big one. I'm not saying don't buy the big one because it still has.
Yeah.
But they're just super, super stoked about how much power it has. And it virtually is just it's a shrunk down version of the bigger one. You still have your anti-rotation key here, which what that means is in the old school way, the 30x20V just has kind of a screw that goes in there, and that keyway rides in and out. That quill rides on that keyway. The keyway rides on that screw. By putting that key there, and it's an Acme thread, just like the C, it's just nice and smooth the whole time. 10 years from now, it's going to be nice and smooth. At most, you might have to put a little bit of oil on it. Spray it with WD-40, dry it off, and then put some oil back on it. Your clamping mechanism, you have a big brass dog here that actually clamps your wheel. Your handles are nice and heavy. Your tool rest lock. We're doing it from this side. Your tool rest lock is actually dogs, just like the big model. So it actually doesn't mar up, doesn't have one screw that mars up your tool post. little things like that that seem to be little, but they're actually huge when you talk about them or when you use them. So it's not just the power. It's actually the whole combination of the design. You know, you still have 2 bearings on this side, 1 bearing on this side. A lot of our competition just has 1 and 1. These are things you can't see. That's just what we're going to do. That's what we've always done. We want to try to hold on to a lot of tradition. You know, we're coming up on 100 years, and we're pretty proud of what we do. This one also has an on-off switch here. If you notice, it lights up. I can turn it on and up. I can change the speed with the potentiometer. Or if you notice this little button right here, when I hit the little A comes up, and that's angular, you'll notice it'll just start counting. You get 24 different indexing positions. So when I find my indexing position, I screw the little side in. I don't know if you can see that, Alex. So when I screw that side in, I'll zero it out, and that's 0. Really, we should call it 1 through 24, but we put 0 through 23. But, you know, you can buy one of these lathes, you can figure that out. You know, the hand wheel, you know, Wayne, I'm not sure if you weren't the one that said something about this hand. No, you didn't see that one.
Show them what else about that box, because one of my favorite things about the new series of lathes is that the box is remote.
So,
sorry, not that box. Your control box. As we're dancing with the lathe.
Yeah. You can also move it around. Some people love the control over here. Some people love it over here. With this one, you put it wherever you like it. You still have forward and reverse. On this, if you notice, and of course the door is magnetic. You've got 3 different speed ranges. And a lot of people say, well, I put it in high speed and it'll go as slow as I need to go. If you're turning some big bowls, always go in the lower speed because you want that RPM of the motor to come on up because you want to get that air going over your motor. It'll go down to, I think it's 40. No, it'll go down to 15 RPM just like the 30x20C. We learned that at the AAW one year. These guys were having these bases, or hollow form, hollow vessels, whatever you want to call them. They literally looked like they dipped them in glass. And I was like, how in the world are you doing that? They said, we're reprogramming these inverters and making them go slow. I was like, oh, that's why I got all those calls in tech service. That's why I burned the motor up and everything. So anyway, we incorporate it into the new machine where it's not going to hurt it to go that slow. So basically run it in the lowest RPM you can. You notice here the little lever here? That's your spindle lock. So essentially it's a one-handed deal. You can pull it up. Yeah, two-handed a little bit, but it's a nice little spindle lock that's actually integrated into the machine. It's going to come with the base plate, the wrench, and the knockout bar, just like that, just like the big ones. It's got a little bit smaller drive center or live center and the same drive center. If you like the bigger ones off your big lathe, they're still MT2 tapers, so they work fine. And one thing I did want to show, just like the C model, this inverter here is actually totally enclosed. So what that means is you don't have to worry about your chips. You really didn't have to before, but if a chip got at the right spot at the right time, you could have a little trouble. But this is totally enclosed. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't reprogram it yourself. It's just going to do its own thing. And the headstock does slide just as the large one does. So if you wanted to, you could take this off, pull it all the way down. There is this nice heavy bed extension that you can extend the bed or drop it down. I think it's 3 inches, and it'll add 6 inches of your swing.
I hear weights are sold out during the COVID crisis. I guess you could get one of those for your home gym if you needed it.
What was that, man?
I said I hear weights and such are sold out every nationwide, and watching you lift that thing, it seemed to be a little bit hefty.
You can always come over here and kind of get if you want to lift some weight, you can come over here. We've got plenty of it. You know, and it's the bad thing is when you're putting something together, it's heavy, but if you're using it, that's a good thing. Something else I want to kind of mention that I don't think anything about it because I like stuff as tall as it can be. Tobias is a little shorter than I am, so his background was.
You may want to tell folks who Tobias is.
Okay, Tobias is my boss, the director of woodworking. So really sharp guy. If you ever get to meet him, you'll want to talk to him for hours. But his background has been like forming steel and bending metal. So the stand is actually formed and welded metal, but it's adjustable. So it can go up to where I can use it or it can go down to where he can use it. And it's very versatile. I mean, I was really skeptical about it because, you know, the 3520C has big, heavy cast iron legs, which you got to pay for. You know, $4,500, $4,600 versus, I don't know what this is. But it's about half the price, I think. But very, very stable. When you put the wheels on, it's a little bit less stable, but still, it's doable. I wouldn't be scared to use it with these wheels. I'm not. We play with them too.
So Russ, we have a question. What's the weight on that? And I know it comes in two different formats. It comes, the legs are a accessory, I guess, that you can purchase. But do you know what the weights are on those?
I want to say probably 300 pounds, maybe 300, maybe a little over 300.
Just about, but it does disassemble really easily. So if you're wanting to take this somewhere, the tailstock, headstock, banjo all come off super easy.
And there's some other things that we might come out with later to make it easier to move. But when you take the headstock off here, you know, it's got some weight to it. It's that toss-up, but it's a whole lot easier to lift than this. I've lifted this myself, and you know, you want to go sit down after you do that. I do not recommend sliding this one off unless you're used to doing some pretty heavy stuff. But the nice thing about it, it has the same design, you know, big diesel engine, smaller diesel engine, but both of them have that good torque and power. And then, you know, I think they have a nice look to them. It took a long time to get this one to look like it is. And we just got a great team of people that actually pull ideas out of each other. And we come together and we get it to where, you know, we're proud of it afterwards. And I think, you know, we're skeptical enough of each other that, you know, if we don't like it, somebody will speak up. So hopefully we'll make the machine you like and want to buy and keep that going for another 100 years. I don't plan to be here that long, but, you know.
Well, with that, I think it's time. If anybody has any additional questions for Russ, feel free to unmute yourself and ask them.
Is there anything anybody would like to see in here? Maybe talk about any other machines other than what we've talked about, or?
I